y'all, and welcome to today's video. I'm very excited because I've been going through my collection, shopping my stash a bit, and I pulled out so many eyeshadow palettes that I think are perfect for fall, and then I narrowed it down to 10. Some of these palettes are pretty old. I hate to say old, but you know, they were released at least a year ago. Some of these are a little newer, but I just wanted to kind of go through my collection, pull out some beautiful fall color stories, and I'm gonna share these palettes with y'all today. Now, if you are new here, I want to say, hey, my name is Heather and makeup makes me happy. Here at my channel, we don't try to be perfect. We just want to have a good time with our makeup, whatever that means. Now, I upload lots of videos every single week, 5, 6, 7 videos, sometimes more. So if you're looking for new fun makeup content, this right here is the place to be. I hope you'll subscribe before you leave, but I can't wait to talk about these palettes. So let's jump into it. Before we get started, I just kind of want to say, first of all, I know that it's not fall or autumn everywhere in the world. Maybe you're living in the southern hemisphere and you're like, what? It's not fall. That is okay. Listen, I'm a summer type of girl. I love summertime. So you will see me wearing autumn colors in March. You'll see me wearing neons in November. Wear your makeup however you want to. I do. But I do think it's fun to kind of like shop your stash, be inspired by the seasons, maybe want to change things up. So I was just thinking about fall and thinking about the palettes that I think kind of fit the fall color story for one reason or another. Of course, I'm not saying you can only wear these palettes in the fall, but I just kind of wanted to throw that out there before we got started. Also, this is not going to be a ranking video. This is just going to be 10 palettes that I want to talk to you about. Shop your stash. Tell me what you think is perfect for fall. I always love to hear from y'all. But with all that being said, let's talk about the palettes. Okay, listen, y'all know I had to talk about my collab palette with ADEPT. This is the Heather Austin palette that I created with ADEPT earlier this year. Now I'm going to show y'all a close-up of this palette. I'm showing you one that's nice and new and beautiful because, you know, I want you to get the full effect, but my palette is very well loved. Very well loved. This isn't the first palette I have that's very well loved, but this is definitely the most recent one. This palette, listen, all times of year. When I was creating this palette, when ADEPT and I were working on this, I wanted a palette that was for all throughout the year, of course, but I think you can make some beautiful fall looks with this. I have been creating some beautiful fall looks with this. Of course I love it, you know what I mean? But we do have some beautiful tones that are just perfect for fall. No matter what you do, you're gonna have a beautiful look. The mattes are very, very blendable. They're easy to build. They're pigmented. So you can go in with one matte and you can build it up intense in places. You can sheer it out in places. You can use one matte and look like you have 3 different shades on your eyes because you can build it up to be intense. You can blend it. Like I said, you can just, you know what? I love it. Y'all know I love it. I won't go on too much. We've got mattes. We've got multi-chromes. Everything you could want in a palette. This is my perfect fall palette, but we'll talk about some other ones. Okay, here's another palette that I think is going to be really, really pretty for fall. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. This is the one that they launched earlier this year. Now, I think this palette is so pretty. I was really rooting for ABH when I got this palette because I'm like, you know what? This is kind of a different format for them. I want to know, like, am I going to love this? And I really think this is an awesome palette. Very, very pretty. And I think the color story is so fun. Again, wear your palettes for whatever season you want to. But I think this kind of terracotta shade right here is beautiful. This deeper brown shade. I love that we have these kind of mossy green tones. I think you could create some really, really pretty looks with this one, especially for fall. You could get that vibe. I like that we have plenty of light tones in here. So if you want to do something that's a little bit lighter, you know, maybe like fall daytime, you can do that, but then you can also kind of go a little more dramatic with it. I think it's really, really fun. I know ABH is releasing a new palette soon that I'm excited about, but I just wanted to talk about this one because when I'm looking through my collection, I'm like, ABH really did good with this one. Okay, let's take it back to a palette that's a little older. This is the Unearthly Cosmetics Allure palette. I absolutely love the cover art, but that's not what this is about. That's not what this is about. It's the color story inside. So you can see we have some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful shades in here. I love this pumpkin orange that we have. I think that is so fun. We have this deep burgundy shade. Unearthly is one of my favorite brands. They make amazing shadows, amazing color stories, amazing formulas, and I really love this palette. I love that there's a black in here, so this color story, it speaks to me. This is maybe my favorite Unearthly palette. I love it so much. Lure was actually the first thing that I ever bought from Unearthly. I saw it on Instagram. I had to have it. I ordered from the brand and I've been in love ever since. This color story is gorgeous. The pans are magnetic. You've got a nice big mirror in here. It's perfect for fall. I'll also let you know that some of these brands, some of these palettes that I'm talking about, I do have codes with. I will put them in the description box if you're curious. I always like to save money, so I like to let y'all know if I have any codes or anything like that. I do have a code for some of the brands, not all of the brands, but every single thing that I talk about, I will link it and list it out in the description box for y'all in case you're curious, and that's where I'll put codes. Any extra information I have, it will be in the description box. Okay, let's talk about what is on my eyes today, and that is the Sigma Alice in Wonderland palette. Listen, I think if you look at this, you may not immediately think of fall, but look at this eye look that I created. I think this is such a fall time look. I love that we have these kind of reds and yellows and oranges down here. These colors right here, even this green kind of looks like when the leaves are starting to change, you know, and you have this kind of green leaf and then it's fading to kind of orange to yellow. I love that. And then I also think this section is really pretty. It kind of reminded me of the sky in the fall, how it's not, you know, that bright, light, sunny blue that we get in the summer, but we kind of have these more like deeper, almost like more saturated types of tones in the sky. So I really felt like this palette fit for fall. Again, this is what I have on my eyes today. I'm using lots of shades. This shade and basically all of these shades are right in here. I think it's such a beautiful, beautiful palette. Sigma is a brand that I really, really love, and I've only had this palette for a little while, so I don't want to say it's like my new favorite Sigma palette because it might be though. It might be though. It's so beautiful. If you bought this palette, definitely bust it out. See what kind of fall inspired looks you can create because I think it has such a beautiful color story for this season. Okay, I really wanted to share a neutral palette with y'all as well. So the Lunar Beauty Eternal Eclipse. This palette is what, 2 years old now, maybe? Has it been that long? I love this palette. This is one of my favorite neutral palettes in my collection. And when I was shopping my stash, I was like, oh, this is perfect for some neutral fall looks. I really like this palette because you can go the more warm route if you want to with the warm eye look, but then you have these beautiful cool tones as well. So if you want to create like a gray smoky eye, you can definitely do that with this palette. That would be so beautiful. I like that this palette, you know, we've all seen neutral palettes with a pop of blue. This palette takes it beyond that though, in my opinion, because we have a nice blue matte and a blue shimmer. I really like that, and I really like how deep these are to where they're almost like grungy, sultry blues. And with that, we have these beautiful silver gray shades. You know, it's not that typical warm neutrals with your 1 or 2 blue shades, but we have these gray tones, we have the warm tones, we have silvers and bronzes, and it's really, of course, it's perfect for any time of year. I've got to stop myself from saying that over and over, but I think the fall looks you can create with this are going to be so beautiful. Even if you just stick to these 4 shades right here, you can create something so like autumn. So autumn, just like I'm thinking of like leaves on the ground, like these shades just so beautiful. I think this palette is perfect for the season. Okay, another neutral leaning palette for y'all. This is the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Dollhouse palette. This palette is like a colorful palette for the neutral lover and a neutral palette for the color lover. I just feel like this palette will fit anyone. I see fall in this palette for sure. First of all, we have these kind of orangey tones, and I know this deep row, like it can look very similar, but the tones in here are what really make it special. Like this is a very warm dark brown. This is a deep dark purple. We have here a black. We have here a very like cool toned dark brown. We have a really deep mauve, and then we have a more olive green toned brown. So these deep shades make the palette extra special for me because it's those subtle differences that can really elevate a look, in my opinion. Of course, the orange is perfect for fall, along with these kind of like almost like dead leaf green, you know, like I'm really loving that. These shades super beautiful. I love that we have a whole row, that's a tongue twister, a whole row of deeper shimmery shades and then a whole row of lighter shimmery shades. Just really perfect. If you have this palette, definitely pull it out, play with it, see if you can create some beautiful fall looks, because I just feel really inspired when I look at this palette. Now, y'all know that I could not do this video without talking about the new NOMAD Hudson Valley palette. I have a couple of newer palettes to talk about, this being one of them. I couldn't not add this because look at it. This is fall. This is fall. This is so beautiful. I mean, even the embossing on the pans screams fall. You know, we have like apple cider donuts. We have the headless horseman. We have like jack-o'-lanterns printed here, the great pumpkin patch. We have these, everything about this palette is fall. I don't even have to say why this palette is fall. Like, you see it, you get it. It's got a beautiful mirror in here. Again, this is a newer palette. I have a video here on YouTube. I also have a tutorial over on my other socials. Those are always down below in the description box. Every palette I'm talking about, I actually have a video on. So if you're like, I want to see swatches, I want to see tutorials, I have videos on them. So definitely check out those videos if you want more information than what I'm giving you here. But yeah, what kind of fall palette video would this be if I didn't talk about this new NOMAD palette? Okay, another newer palette is the Natasha Denona My Dream palette. I'm loving this palette, y'all. Like, I'm loving it. We have Natasha's cream to powder formula, mattes, shimmers, multi-chromes, like, oh, just perfect. This multi-chrome down here is really, really beautiful. This really sparkly, intense, like orangey shade, I love. And you can create beautiful neutral looks with this palette, of course. I like that we have these neutral browns, kind of these peachy tones. I love the berries though. Like, even if you just stick with these 4 shades right here, you're gonna get a beautiful look. This palette is so beautiful. It's that Natasha Denona formula that I absolutely love. I think she really killed it with this palette. I love the black in here. Beautiful. Just everything about this palette I'm into. If you bought this one, you know, like, I love it. It's so amazing. Beauty Bay makes beautiful palettes. I think this Earthy palette is so pretty for fall. So Beauty Bay palettes, they're at such a good price point, and the formulas are really beautiful as well. With this palette, we have mattes, shimmers, and then really beautiful metallic shades in here. These greens, gorgeous. Looking at this palette when I was kind of shopping through my stash, I'm like, green monochromatic looks perfect for this palette. This bottom row right here I think is so grungy and perfect for the fall time. Throw in some of this deep dark green, perfect. Now I know they made, I have the, what is this, the 16 pan palette. I'm pretty sure they made a 9-pan version of this that was a little more curated, and then they had a really large green palette too. So whichever one you have, like, great. I just bought the 16-pan palette because I felt like that was a good, like, happy middle ground between the smaller and the larger one. This one's really, really beautiful. And I know I said it's like a monochromatic palette because it is, but we do have a few shades like this one, and this one up here that are neutrals that lean green. So you can definitely get a look that doesn't look like a monochromatic green look with those shades, but it will still flow together because the undertones are there to pair with these mattes. It's beautiful. If you are looking for a palette that won't break the bank, you want to add something to spice it up, Beauty Bay palettes are so good. I haven't tried them all, but I've tried quite a few and I really enjoy. Okay, I saved kind of the newest palette for last. This is Fantasy Cosmetica, the Bard palette. Now this is launching on the 29th, but I've had time to play with this palette and I have to say, perfect for fall. The formulas in here are beautiful. I don't know what magic they put in here, but these mattes are pigmented. They're easy to blend. They're beautiful. They work well together. We have a multi-chrome in this palette. We have duochromes, shimmers, mattes. I mean, what do I even need to say? You're looking at this, you're like, yeah, we get it. It's a fall palette. Like, we've got eyes, we can see. It's just so pretty. Like, I think, like, it just genius the way it was laid out too. I love the 4 mattes being in the corner. I love, like, it's just everything. I love it. I think this palette, like, this shade right here screams fall to me. It's so just Fantasy Cosmetica, they really brought us a beautiful fall palette with this one. All right, y'all, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing me kind of talk about some of the palettes in my collection that I think are perfect for the season. If you would like me to continue to do this type of video, definitely give me a thumbs up. But I would love to know, when you are looking at your collection, what palette are you like, yes, this is my fall palette? I would love to hear from you. Of course, there are so many other palettes I could have talked about. Again, I had a whole pile, a stack of palettes in front of me, but I was like, let's pare it down to 10. Come on, Heather, edit yourself. So I just thought these would be fun to talk about. They really fit the fall vibe for me. But yeah, definitely let me know when you're looking at your collection what palette screams fall. Are you shopping for any new palettes this fall? I would love to know what you have your eye on. But thank you so much for spending your time with me. I'm so happy you're here. I hope you're having an awesome day, and I will see you very soon in another video. Make sure that you subscribe. Bye.